I was a prison guard at USP Marion for over 23 years. I've got over 31 years, almost 32 years of government service. And this is just a part of my story. USP Marion was the only Supermax federal prison. We called it a level 6 in its time. And yeah, I've heard all about Alcatraz and that they were the first, but they were Alcatraz. We were a Supermax prison. They've exported the model all over the world now. And here I am in a small South American banana republic, and no, they don't have a Supermax prison here. They just have me, a retiree. This is one of the places that I'll be living at for extended periods of time. And what I wanted to talk about today was, were you ever investigated? Oh, absolutely I was investigated. I was investigated for excessive use of force. So obviously that makes me a really bad person because I hear about it from folks on YouTube all the time. He was a bad person because he hit people. I was actually investigated because an inmate told me, I'm going to reach through the bars and I'm going to drag what's pieces of you and what's left of you through the bars and beat it into a pulp. So I said, you try that, buddy, and I'll break your arm. Told my supervisor about it, who turned me in and they opened an investigation. I was totally unaware that when I retired that was actually a current investigation that was going on. They closed the case because I had already admitted to it. They just couldn't do anything about it at that point. Once you retire, they can only prosecute you. And if a fellow in the grocery store told you that they were going to whip your ass and you told them, try it, buddy, and I'll whip yours first, the cops probably won't arrest you for that. Well, they wouldn't arrest me for it either. So that was one of the investigations. Another one was, I was sick one day and came to work when I shouldn't have, and I coughed up a bunch of phlegm, and the inmates complained about it and said it was horrible and disgusting, and I admitted it. And of course they gave me a letter that says that I shouldn't be coughing and spitting stuff out onto the range, that I should swallow it, is what the warden told me. So the next time you hack up one of them really nasty whatever, you just go right ahead and swallow it, because that's what the warden says you're supposed to do. And oh yeah, I was investigated for being a racist because I hate foreigners and I hate people of color, and I especially hate Muslims. The guy, actually, the inmate that said I hated Muslims, wanted to send me to a school so I could be more in tune with the reality of Muslims in America. Okay, now this grave right here is a Muslim. This one right here is a Hindu, and there's some Christian ones over there. I'm entering a graveyard just across the road from the house that I'm building. So they're all around us, and all my neighbors, for the most part, are Muslim here, and no, they're not white. So yeah, I probably get along with them. That was probably a bogus thing to say. Matter of fact, I haven't seen a white person in over a month, so there's not a lot of them here. Anyway, that was some of the complaints. The other one was he used excessive force. He broke a bone when it wasn't necessary. Really, were you the one fighting on the floor with a guy that was trying to bite you? A guy has actually bitten a chunk off of my steel-toed shoe during an altercation. True story. I'm going to put some of the paperwork that I've gotten in my research for this book that I'm writing about my experiences, and I'll put them at the end of the video so that you can peruse them. And yeah, I'll take out the names. And the government has taken out the names of the inmates because we wouldn't want to violate their rights either, right? So, yes, I've been investigated for all of those things. The only thing that was ever sustained was the one where I hacked up the horrible stuff on the range. That was sustained, and I got a letter that said that I should swallow it next time. And that was the only punishments that I ever received in 23 years. Were other people investigated for other things? Oh, you can bet they were. As a matter of fact, they encourage inmates to make false complaints, because whenever it's proven false, they don't do anything about it. If I were to tell something that wasn't true, or even not tell the whole truth, I could be fired or they'd take action against me. But an inmate could make up something out of whole cloth, and they did quite often. Make up something out of whole cloth, and there's no action taken against them whatsoever. I asked the special investigative supervisor about just exactly this one time. And he said, well, we don't want to discourage inmates from making complaints. Well, no, we want them to make complaints all the time to keep the special investigative supervisor in business. One of the things that people are really angry about when they've been retired is one of these complaints that they put them through the ringer for no reason. You know, and of course, every time I was in a situation where I had to use force, they have to fill out special forms. They have to do a special investigation on it. It has to go to the region for approval. So people that have not been in a real penitentiary, maybe even ever, are going to pass judgment on what I did in a specific moment. It's just unbelievable. And yes, I've had friends that were investigated, nothing was sustained, and they were forced into retirement because they used these investigations as a way to get rid of you. I knew this guy. Told him not to do this. All my friends told him not to do this. He would wear funny clothes to work because he thought that was funny. He'd wear a big blinking nose to work because he thought that was funny. And he had reindeer antlers, you know, that he put on like the arrow through the head thing, except the reindeer antlers. He thought that was funny at Christmas. And he just wanted to add a little levity to the penitentiary. They didn't really feel that that was appropriate, and so it just irritated somebody to no end. Well, when some inmates made some accusations against him about computer usage, they investigated his computer usage, and they found that on midnight shift, when everybody's asleep, he was looking at photographs and jokes. And out of the 3,000 photographs that he looked at in a single 3-month period, apparently there was at least 6 photographs of partially or completely nude women, and of course that's inappropriate to be doing at work. And they wanted to prosecute him because, you know, some of the women, we just don't know what their ages are, and we can't figure it out one way or the other, so we want to send it on to the prosecuting attorney's office, and once they do that, they can suspend you without pay. And the idea is, it was a bogus charge. Everybody knew that it was never going to be sustained, but he can now sit, and they ask him, hey, would you sit on this for the next 3 years? Because it's 5 years that they can sit on something without prosecuting you. So we're going to sit on it for 2 or 3 years, and you're not going to get any pay. Or you can retire and quit being a pain in our ass. Well, got a couple of kids in school. Wife don't work, or she does, but it's only a part-time job. You got a mortgage to pay. Got expenses like, you know, stupid things like eating and things like that. So he retired. Got rid of him. Pissed him off. He's angry about it. So, yes, we've all been investigated for something. It's whether or not you've been sustained. Oh yeah, did we get sued? Oh sure. Inmate beats up staff. 2 of them. His friends come to his assistance because that's the way it is in prison. Whenever the inmates are in problems, their friends come to their assistance and our friends come to ours. Well, by the time that our friends get there, these 2 staff members have been beaten to the point where one of them has to medically retire. And the other one, well, he comes back and he's the guy that they didn't like, so they got rid of him. And that's what he gets for showing loyalty. And I was personally investigated for, they said it was fraud. I fell down in the hallway, and of course, you know, it just so happens that the camera didn't work that day. I've noticed that whenever anything goes my way, the camera don't work. And I banged my knee into a grill, and I filled out the form in case there was some lasting injury at some later point. And so that way they wouldn't say, oh, well, you did that a week ago and now you're claiming an injury, so you must have injured it at home. It's a fake. Well, I did that, but the guy that I turned the paperwork into was very, very good at his job. He would look over your paperwork and tell you if you've missed anything, and he would ask you questions, and he'd say, now, you need to write down the answer in this paperwork. Don't just tell it to me. Write the answer down in this paperwork, because I'm telling you, that's the question that they're going to ask higher up. Get your paperwork right. Well, he was so good at it that many of us sustained claims against the government for injuries as opposed to having them rejected, which so the claim rate was very high, and they investigated him for helping me fake and injuries. I guess the idea is that he assisted me and I would bribe him on a fake injury or something, even though, you know, I would have had to go to the doctor. And I said to the investigator, look, I never even made a claim. It doesn't matter. If you lied about it, it's a lie and we can sustain it against you. Yeah, okay. Well, they had brought this up 10 or 15 years after I retired, after the incident. Not after I retired. 5 years after I retired, but 10 or 15 years after the incident, trying to get at this guy with an investigation. Well, I wasn't going to assist anybody, so I said, I'm not coming in and telling you nothing. Forget it. You know, you want to see anything about me, look on my YouTube channel, because that's the only place I'm going to talk. So, things like that happened all the time. Some of them were legitimate investigations, and some of them were politically motivated, like these other couple here that I talked about. And yes, they actually, not this guy, but another guy before him, many years before, 20 years before, he was the exact same guy, get all the paperwork right, and sustained a lot of claims for injuries of staff, and they hounded him right out of the bureau. Totally unjustified, but they used these investigations to do that. So yes, I've been investigated, and so has most of the staff that I worked with, and some of them are even sued by the inmates, and the Bureau of Prisons won't do a thing to help them, and they have to hire their own attorneys, and at some point the Bureau just pays a guy 10 grand to go away, and you're left holding the bag, is how it works. So yeah, happens all the time, at least in the Bureau of Prisons. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, you know, don't be an ass, hit the like button down there, will you? And would it kill you to subscribe?